Hello and welcome to Racers Now. In this video, we're taking an anti-post look at the Queen Anne, the curtain raiser to Royal Ascot in the middle of June over a straight mile and a race that I always look forward to. But first, we're going to start on a bit of a tangent with SD's favourite song, Mixed Emotions by Chase and Status. Make sure you check that one out. SD really likes it. But Mixed Emotions was what I felt coming away from the Lockinge Stakes at Newbury in the middle of May. I just tipped a 25-1 winner right here on this channel, lead artist, anti-post. SD also tipped it on our weekly Thursday show on the day of race market. So we was happy with that, but come away with mixed emotions because I was disappointed from what I saw on the track in that Lockinge. It just left me feeling empty, to be honest. And yeah, mixed emotions. Before the race, we had quotes like, "It's probably the best Lockinge in 50 years." That was proclaimed by Richard Hannon in the Racing Post, who at the time of that quote did have the favourite Rosalian. That was a mild over-exaggeration from Richard, but it did look a stellar renewal on paper, to be fair. Maybe the best renewal in 10 or 12 years, but certainly not 50. But it just didn't deliver on the racetrack itself. And yeah, it made me feel empty. Was massively looking forward to, like many others were, the return of Notable Speech and Rosalian as 4-year-olds. Wouldn't be too often that you get to such good 3-year-olds both returning as 4-year-olds. They avoided the temptation to go to the breeding shed. They both won guineas in their own right. And we were told that both Rosalian and Notable Speech were ripe and ready to go. The Group 1 Lockinge in the middle of May, getting the season started, ripe and ready to go. Rosalian has had 3 racecourse gallops behind closed doors, 2 at Kempton, 1 at Newbury. Charlie Appleby said of Notable Speech, "We're delighted with him. He's ticked every box. We couldn't be happier with our horse." Yet they both ran like horses, to me, that were nowhere near close to their best, and purely on ratings, they needed to be near their best. Both ran to an RPR, Rosalian and Notable Speech, in the Lockinge of 117. Both had a peak last year of 124 on Racing Post ratings, and the winner, lead artist, ran to a Racing Post rating of 123. So they did need to be near their best to win the Lockinge, and they were not. The figures are somewhat complicated by comparing 4-year-olds as they are now, Rosalian and Notable Speech, to 3-year-olds. I get that, 3-year-old allowances, but you get my drift. 2020 hindsight was in full use just minutes after the race, because those trainers that have given quotes beforehand that they were ripe and ready to go definitely changed their tune after the race. Rosalian finished 3rd. Notable Speech finished 4th. Charlie Appleby said he was delighted and got tired close home in regards to Notable Speech. Hannon going with, he'll strip fitter. He'll strip a lot fitter next time and take a lot of beating. I'm looking forward to Ascot. So they were fit enough beforehand. They'd had racecourse gallops. Charlie Appleby was, quote, delighted. But afterwards, not so much the same. So which is it, boys? I mean, you can't have it both ways, can you? And it just leads me to thinking it is going to turn into a bit of a rant, if not already. Is the flat season turning into its national hunt cousin a little bit? Is it becoming too focused on 1 week in the calendar in mid-June, that week being Royal Ascot? It might well be. Now, I do fully accept that match fitness comes through playing matches, and will come on for the run, come on for the first run, might well be the oldest and accurate cliche in the book. But this was more than that to my eye. This was more than first run of the season. And I am moaning about Rosalian and Notable Speech. This was trainers warming up classic winners from the previous year in a bona fide Group 1 at Newbury worth £226,000 to the winner. And both had more than half an eye on Royal Ascot, as they've said after the race. Both mentioned Ascot after the race. What's the problem with getting a horse fit first time out for such an important race? 226 grand, Group 1. What's wrong with running in a race at a lower level to get match fit? There are plenty of good opportunities. For example, Sandown, they could have ran at Doncaster. They could have ran at, I think, Newbury if they wanted to. They could have ran at Newmarket in the lead up to this race. Dancing Gemini did that. Lead Artist did that. They found it fine to go and get match fitness first, particularly Lead Artist. He was terrible at Sandown. I tipped him before Sandown. He ran terrible at Sandown. My confidence completely flawed. He was well backed and went and won the Lockinge, so I was proven right in the end. But I wasn't confident in the day of race market, that is for sure. But they went and got a warm-up elsewhere, and it proved a very much an advantage on the day over Rosalian and Notable Speech, who didn't. Now, the flat season might be extending at both ends with international opportunities increasing each year. I mean, but this is the Lockinge. Camford Cliffs, Frankel, Farr, Olympic Glory, Night of Thunder, Baid, all won the Lockinge on their first start of the season. Rosalian, I mean, why can't he be fit? This is more important for Rosalian because he might be the most ground-dependent Group 1 horse in Europe. He has to have fast ground. So his window of fast ground opportunity is smaller than most. His window of opportunity to win Group 1s this year, particularly in Europe, is smaller than Notable Speeches and Dancing Gemini and Lead Artist, you could argue. So he needed to be fit and ready to go first time up. And basically, he wasn't fit enough. Yes, I am ranting now, but he actually gets a little bit worse. Carl Burke said about Fallen Angel, last year's 1,000 guineas winner over in Ireland. She's working only satisfactorily, he said in the Racing Post on the day of the race, and going through the motions at home. I'm hoping she runs a nice race, but I'm very much looking forward to the rest of the season with her. Royal Ascot will be the main plan. This is about a big money internal purchase by Wafnan, the most money that I think they've ever spent on a filly. A 1,000 guineas winner from Ireland last year, and he's saying she's working only satisfactorily, and Royal Ascot will be the main plan. No wonder she drifted wildly in the market, went off 20-1, and got no way near winning. So let's go back to the Queen Anne. Rant over. Where does the Lockinge leave us with a view to the Queen Anne itself? The first four in the Lockinge, that would be Lead Artist, Dancing Gemini, Rosalian, and Notable Speech are all going to the Queen Anne, all likely to run. But the value may well lay elsewhere, away from those Newbury runners. We might simply not have a superstar miler in Britain this year. Or on the flip side of that, Rosalian and Notable Speech might come on massively for the run and prove themselves superstars and better than Dancing Gemini and Lead Artist. I'm not sure that's the case. I don't sit in that camp, but it might be. We might just have to believe that the trainers left them deliberately short for the Lockinge, to my disappointment, but with a view on their longer season prospects and with a view on the Queen Anne. They both might improve. Well, they're going to have to. They both might improve £5 or £6 for that and prove their worth at Queen Anne. I don't quite buy into that. I think that is a lazy way of thinking. They was all happy beforehand. They wasn't so happy after the race. So maybe they will come on for that. I'm not sure. I think it's too easy and too lazy just to buy in. Oh yeah, Rosalian will be much better. Notable Speech will be much better, and they'll prove they're better than the 4-year-old, than the Dancing Gemini and Lead Artist. I don't quite agree with that. I think that's too simplistic. Anyway, the first four from the Lockinge are going to the Queen Anne. Rosalian's 4-1, Dancing Gemini's 5-1, Lead Artist and Notable Speech are both 6-1. The market's got no idea, as you can tell. It's not very often you get to a Queen Anne this close to the race and be 4 horses between 4 and 6-1. It is pretty wide open. I was looking away from the Lockinge for the value, or for the winner maybe. I first looked at Sardinian Warrior, who could well be the new kid on the block. Somewhat late developing 4-year-old. He won the official Queen Anne trial at Ascot in a listed race. Now, I'm not saying a Group 1 winner from last year is going to run in a listed race like Notable Speech and Rosalian. Don't get me wrong. But there were other options. I think there's a Group 2 that Lead Artist, that Dancing Speech ran in at Sandown. They could have quite easily ran in that under a penalty. Anyway, Sardinian Warrior could be the new kid on the block. He looked really good at Ascot in the middle, at the end of April there. His first run on turf. Yet his next start wasn't in the Lockinge. He went to the Prix d'Ispahan on Sunday, the 25th of May, finished a good second behind Saucy. Saucy, who ran well in the Arc last year, was odds on. So Sardinian Warrior did well, I thought, to finish second there. Credible second. Not the usual route to a Queen Anne. But John Gosden did have the Lead Artist for the Lockinge, so maybe he wanted to split them up. They're in different ownership. So Sardinian Warrior may still turn up at the Queen Anne. He's had 1 week less of a rest, if you like, than the other boys and girls in the race. So yeah, Sardinian Warrior, interesting. He's 14-1. I was just a bit unsure about that route that he's taking, and maybe Gosden, now that he's been second in a Group 1 over 9.5 furlongs, maybe looking elsewhere with that one. Porta Fortuna returned as a 4-year-old at the Curragh on the same day as Sardinian Warrior on the 25th of May. She won in smooth fashion in a Group 2 there, but all her winning has come against her own sex, Porta Fortuna. Very admirable horse. I think she's won 4 or 5 Group 1s now. She's already a Royal Ascot winner in her own right. But all her winning, like I say, has come against her own sex. And the one time she tried against the boys, she was 8th of 10. Yes, that was in the Breeders' Cup at Del Mar. But yeah, she's only tried against the boys once. She was 8th of 10, and she's going to need to improve. It's as simple as that. She's on course for the Queen and Porta Fortuna. Will need a career best for sure. Other ones in there we're looking at is Factor Cheval, who ran in this race last year. Was actually ran well on Champions Day on softer ground, but this year, in this race last year, was just given a ridiculous ride, one of the most ridiculous rides of the year by Maxime Guillon. Went off 7-2, second favourite, and was just ridden on the far side away from everything else, the 2 French runners. It was quite ridiculous, actually, in the Queen Anne this time last year. He surely needs softer ground, this Factor Cheval, to be seen at his best. He can run on quicker ground, but I think he needs to be softer ground to be seen at his best. May well run. We saw him running over 9 furlongs in Meydan earlier this year. That was in April. He's not been seen since. I'm not sure of the plans for that French-trained horse. So I'm just looking elsewhere. I think it could be a little bit of a small field, to be honest with you. With the expectant fast ground, there's quite a few in here that would, to be honest, just not quite up to it. I mean, Kim Ross is entered in here. Docklands always runs well at Ascot, but never quite up to it at Group 1 level. Persica needs soft ground. Royal Scotsman, they've struggled to get him fit. They're the type of horses that are in here at bigger prices, 50-1 and above. I'm not sure they're going to be running. So I would be looking at Diego Velazquez. That's where I kind of landed on after the Lockinge. He'll be my idea of the best bet at this stage, but it does come with a caveat. I'll come to that in a moment. It took Ballydoyle the best part of all of last season to get Diego Velazquez right in terms of what's his best trip. He ran over 12 furlongs at Ascot, obviously way too far. He ran at 10 furlongs in the French Derby before that, this time around a year ago. Then when he was dropped to firstly 9 furlongs in July, and then particularly a mile at Leopardstown on Irish Champions Weekend, that's when they appear to have found the key to this Diego Velazquez. He ran back-to-back career best there in Group 3 and Group 2 level. And Aidan O'Brien is on record saying the Queen Anne is very much the plan for Diego Velazquez. Although the caveat is the fact that he has not been seen so far this season is a worry, I will admit. We're on May the 26th now. The race is only in about 3 weeks at Royal Ascot, and Diego Velazquez is yet to be seen this season. It would be pretty unusual for Aidan O'Brien to have a runner at Royal Ascot first time up in the season, particularly in a Group 1 like this. So that would be a worry there, and that's why I'm only half a point win at 16-1 rather than a full point. It's just that caveat that he's not been out this year. Has he got a problem? He would have had plenty of opportunity over in Ireland, particularly over Guineas weekend and before that. He's been off since September last year, and we've yet to see him. So that's the only caveat there. But I do think he represents the best value because I am looking away from the Lockinge to try and find some value in the market. They all finish within 3 lengths of each other at Newbury, and I think similar could happen again. No superstar amongst them, possibly. Maybe I'm wrong. Of the 3, I would probably go as far of the 4, Rosalia, Notable Speech, Dancing Gemini, Lead Artist. I would probably go as far to say, I'm not putting it up as a bet, Notable Speech would maybe represent the best value. He's 6-1. I think that might be a little bit too big, and he did look the one that would most benefit. Just visually, forget the comments from the trainers, forget my rant earlier. He did look the one that would most benefit visually from having the run under his belt and some match fitness. He should have been bloody fit, but he wasn't. So that would be my view on the 4 that ran in the Lockinge. Right, we'll be looking forward to all the biggest and best Group 1s here on Races Now as usual. SD's daily tips every day at around 8 a.m. And we'll be back with an anti-post show at some point this week. I know it's Bank Holiday Monday, but at some point, looking forward to the Derby, etc. Because SD and I have holidays booked in the next couple of weeks, independent of each other. I'm not going on holiday with SD, that is for sure. And final note, going back to the start, Mixed Emotions by Chase and Staters definitely isn't SD's favourite song, but I hope that SD sees this and he checks it out himself in the car on the way home from Leicester on Bank Holiday Monday. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back soon here on Races Now.